p.m. Before we begin, I kindly ask all council members to silence and put away cell phones. If you need to conduct personal business during the meeting, please make a motion to recess. For those participating by phone, please keep your device muted unless speaking. When speaking, please remember to state your name for the benefit of those viewing the live stream. As a reminder, the meeting is being broadcast live. The camera is located above the clock at the back of the council chambers. Our proceedings follow Robert's Rules of Order in accordance with Wasilla Municipal Code 2.04.090. To promote an orderly and respectful meeting, I respectfully ask the council to observe the following rules. Please seek recognition before speaking. No member may speak more than twice on the same motion without a vote to suspend the rules. No member may speak a second time until all who wish to speak have done so. These guidelines help ensure fairness, efficiency, and mutual respect in our discussions. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle?
Here.
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt?
Here.
Councilmember Crafton?
Here.
Councilmember Vila?
Here.
Councilmember Rubio?
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All council members are present here in council chambers.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Vila, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item of business is approval of the agenda. Before changes are discussed, are there conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none. Are there changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Rubio.
I move AM number 2550, contract award to Aetna Construction and Primary Products Company, LLC, in the amount of $8 million, I don't know if you want me to read it all, to new business.
Are there other changes? Mr. Graham.
Madam Mayor, since we will be having an executive session tonight, I would like to move new business item 10.1 ahead of unfinished business. Is that okay?
Okay. All right. Are there more changes to the agenda? Is there an objection to the agenda as amended? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. We are now at special orders of the day. There's one proclamation that I will read. The City of Wasilla proclamation recognizing September 11th as Patriot Day and a National Day of Service and Remembrance. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, our nation endured an unprecedented tragedy that claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 innocent people in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. And whereas the events of that day revealed the resilience, courage, and unity of the American people as first responders, service members, and everyday citizens demonstrated extraordinary heroism and selflessness. And whereas Patriot Day and the National Day of Remembrance honor the victims of the attacks, their families, and the countless individuals who rose in service to their communities and nation during and after the tragic events. And whereas this day serves as a solemn reminder of the importance of unity, compassion, and vigilance in preserving the freedoms and values we hold dear as a nation. And whereas communities across the nation continue to reflect the values and traditions of a nation built to endure through its vital connections between citizens, government, and our environment. And whereas we salute those who respond to the tragic events with their courage and selfless determination, resources, and skills. And whereas the City of Wasilla stands in solidarity with the rest of the country to remember and honor the sacrifices made on that day and to recognize the enduring strength of the American spirit. Now therefore I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor for the City of Wasilla, hereby proclaim September 11th as Patriot Day, a national day of service and remembrance in Wasilla, and encourage all residents to observe the day with moments of silence, acts of service, and reflection on the values of freedom, courage, and unity that bind us together as a nation. Dated the 2nd day of September 2025. We are now at Commission and Agencies Report. Wasilla High School. Would you begin by please stating your name?
Good afternoon, I'm Austin Newcity, sophomore and student body president of Wasilla High School. I want to begin by listing our activities we have this coming month. Thursday, September 11th from 6 to 8:45, the Powerpuff Game, junior versus senior girls flag football is happening, and afterwards a bonfire supported by our fire department. We want to give thanks to them. And Saturday, September 13th, 8 to 10 o'clock, our homecoming dance will be happening. The theme of New York Nights, presented by Leadership. Monday, September 29th, the JROTC Raider Decathlon, and all JROTC from the state come to compete, and we are hosting that. Friday, October 3rd, the Pateo Bowl is happening. This is a Wasilla home game against Palmer High School. We're honored to host that. The annual Veterans Appreciation is happening during our homecoming game. All veterans and active service members get into games for free, and they get a free meal provided by Student Leadership. October 9th through the 11th, the ASAA D1 Girls Flag Football State Tournament we are hosting, and that's all the activities we have. Some academic achievements. WHS school-wide academic goal last year was to increase enrollment beyond the district-required AP+1 to AP+2 by 5% from the previous year. We exceeded that goal and increased this enrollment by 18%. In 2025, Wasilla High School students completed 300+ CTE certifications in heavy equipment, Microsoft, and NC3. Wasilla High School had 6 graduates from our fire science program, with 1 student being hired by Central Matsu Fire Department and 2 students entering UAF's fire science program. In the spring of 2025, Wasilla High School celebrated its largest group of students, 148, achieving a 4.0 GPA or higher in the last 7 years. In 2025, Wasilla students took 514 AP exams. 54% of our students scored a 3 or higher on these exams, and these students essentially passed a college-level course in high school. So in 2025, Wasilla also had 58 AP scholars. In 2024, this was 46 students. In 2025, Wasilla High School had the highest pass rate for classes among the MSBSD traditional schools at 96%. And finally, our first community and family engagement will take place on Wednesday, September 10th from 8 to 8:30 in the senior lounge at Wasilla High School. For those who are new to Warrior Nation, this is a great opportunity to learn about the great things happening here, engage in conversation with our principal, and have any questions answered that you might have about our many programs. So, thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations to Wasilla High School and all that you guys are achieving. I'm so proud of you. We will now hear from the acting city planner on the planning commission.
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning Commission had their last meeting August 26th. We presented a parking standard presentation to them about our current parking rules. We approved a 12,200 square foot building for a gymnastics youth training facility located off of Industrial Drive. We approved a resolution 2508 approving ordinance number 2514 as amended by the city council. That would be Title 16. And then we approved resolution 2509 that supports the repealing the downtown overlay zoning district. However, it is going to be brought back to the planning commission tomorrow at the request of our legal counsel, and we will have a report for you next month. Thank you.
Thank you. And now our director report is the finance department. Mr. Ted Leonard, our interim finance director.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Is this on?
You can hold it.
No. First of all, I'd like to say that the first gentleman is much more articulate than I will be. I was very impressed with our student representative. What I'd like to go over are about 3 updates. One is that I've requested from administration to have a special meeting next week on September 15th to go over the ERP implementation, and I've included a memo to the mayor that requested the meeting that gives backup information for the reason for the meeting. And then also I understood that some members of the council did not actually get the 2024 ERP assessment and findings, and that is going to be part of the meeting. And we are looking at the possibility of bringing on a strategic partner named Cohills Consulting to assist us with project management and assisting with implementing the ERP, and also assisting with the policy procedures that we need to have completed before we can actually start using the system platform. So it'll be a fairly busy meeting next week. The president of Cohills will be up here to answer questions and be part of the presentation. So that's the first thing. The second update is on our FY25 audit. We're hopefully getting in all of the invoices this week that are outstanding, so we can move forward in getting to the auditors a trial balance by October 1st. They're stating that they will be able to come out on November 1st or in the month of November to actually do the field work. So I hate to say it, but again, that we're looking at probably mid-January to have the actual report, just based on their schedules, and just there are still issues from the pandemic that are still rippling through the finance world with auditors and with their schedules with municipal clients. So we're working that through with them. Joy Mariner, it will be the partner again this year for that audit. She's been here a few times presenting to the council. The other thing that we have been working on diligently is the new P-card policy and other code changes, including travel, looking at procurement, and those are making their way through the process. We're working with the attorneys right now for a new travel policy. We believe that as we're looking at how we can have a more effective P-card policy, that we're also looking at travel, food. For example, right now, we're on a complete reimbursement basis for food while we're traveling, and we're wanting to have the council consider us going to a per diem basis, sort of like what you already have when you go on trips. And then on probably 60 to 70% of our cards, we can make food, not something that could be purchased with one of our P cards. And the search for the new finance director, so you can get me out of here. We had 7 applicants. It closed on August 25th. We had 7 applicants. We have screened it down, working with Kimberly, to 2. They will be interviewed on September 15th, and we'll go from there to hopefully having a candidate for the mayor to look at by the end of September. And then, of course, we have to allow for the time that candidate may have to give for notice. And hopefully, I know it seems like a long process, but by the end of October, the middle of October, we'll have a new finance director with the city.
November.
November, okay. Well, I'm hope, yes, Mayor.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have, I think we have a couple strong candidates, at least one that's very strong, that has a lot of experience with running finance departments, and we'll see. Of course, you never know until you actually are face to face with them of whether or not they will meet, you know, the needs of our organization. And then Public Works, something that Crystal's talked about is we are still working with Public Works on flow and timing of bid proposals and how we can be more efficient and effective between the 2 departments. And then also, we're also providing support to planning and Public Works on looking at different type of funding sources for water and sewer projects, and we hopefully we'll have something at the end of October for the council to look at for that. And Madam Mayor, that's all I have, and if there are any questions,
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Ted, that was very informative. At the, when you do your trial balance for the end of the year, would you be able to provide the council with a document that looked much like the budget that we approved, that kind of showed at the end, you know, let's say we approved, you know, $4.8 million for the police department in these areas, we spent X number of dollars, is something like that
you bet.
reasonable to expect?
Oh, excuse me, Councilmember Graham. Through the mayor to Councilmember Graham, we'll give you a full income statement, revenue statement that you can look at and ask questions that roll up into the trial balance. We will have, as of right now, we ran that type of report that you just requested for the next meeting as of 8/31/25, but we definitely, once we get the final invoices in, let's press the button to get you that information that we'll be presenting to the auditors, which is actually would be really good for the council as we go into the budget season, that, you know, we don't plan on giving the auditors non-complete, trial balance. So hopefully we won't have very many audit changes once we push that button on October 1st.
Great, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Ted. We are now at public hearing. There are two ordinance scheduled for public hearing. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance and its accompanying IM by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance serial number 2528, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget by accepting and appropriating a 15% increase to the Federal Aviation Administration grant in the amount of $596,763 for the Expand Apron E project. IM number 2513, Airport Funding Sources Information.
Okay, the public hearing on ordinance serial number 2528 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing none, I will close public hearing and bring it back to the dais. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 25-28?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Cottle?
I move to adopt ordinance serial number 2528.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cottle and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to adopt ordinance serial number 25-28. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Next public hearing, ordinance serial number 2529, amending Wasilla Municipal Code, Chapter 3.50 to amend Section 350020C, titled Types of Positions and Appointments, to clarify temporary employment limits and authorize mayoral interim appointments.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 25-29 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing no one, I will close public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 25-29?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Cottle.
I move to adopt ordinance serial number 2529.
Is there a second?
Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cottle and seconded by Councilmember Vlock to adopt ordinance serial number 25-29. Is there discussion? Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have significant concern over the period of 1 year for making a temporary or interim appointment. The whole idea for most temporary or interim appointments is to replace somebody who's leaving. One of the management positions, let's say, the finance director, for instance, is going to leave, so we want to put somebody in that chair that's qualified to do the job, but we don't, the mayor obviously isn't comfortable with putting that person in as a director, for the term, or isn't available for what the mayor would consider to be a permanent appointment. Currently, we don't have this 1 year period in there, and I think 1 year is a long time for a temporary appointment. I mean, you're really putting somebody in a position where they can make significant policy changes, and of course, in accordance with the mayor, because it's all part of the administration. But I would like to, I think 6 months is the appropriate number in there. And then if the mayor wants to extend that, then she should come to the council and request a 3 months extension, and if necessary, another 3 month extension, however that goes on. But I think when we get into a 1 year temporary appointment, we're really getting into a position where someone without a hard tie, to the city, could be in a position to make significant policy changes or recommend significant policy changes, and I don't think that's where we want to go. And therefore, Madam Mayor, I move to amend, where are we at here? Ordinance Gerald number 2529 on on line 43 to strike the words 1 year and insert the words 6 months.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I'll second the motion.
The motion has been made to amend ordinance serial number 25-29 from 1 year to 6 months. And now, remember, we are voting on
The amendment.
just the amendment. So is there a discussion?
Madam Mayor, our attorney's got her hand on her mic. I feel like she's got something to comment on this.
I just want to make sure that we understand what the provision is doing. I mean, one of the things, what we're doing here is right now, the temporary position is established based on a specific amount of hours that are worked. So 119 hours per month for the duration of the assignment, of 40 hours per week for up to 89 calendar days. The purpose of this provision is in part to allow those managerial positions, when they are filled with an interim, to work, I hate to say it, but extended hours, and to work in the way that those positions often need to work in order for the city to function, or I think that would be the mayor's take on those positions. So the other aspect, so when we're doing this, it's not so much as authority to have those positions filled for up to a year, it's just how those positions are treated so that they can be, so that they are not subject to these limitations on a temporary employee. So that's the purpose of the change. The other thing to note is the driver of the change is based on the inability to find people who want to serve in that capacity for longer. And I think, dare I say, you have examples on your staff right now that are, it's not the mayor's desire not to have that person serve in a more long-term capacity. It's that person's desire to preserve their current state. So but I don't want to overstate, but I just want to make sure council thinks about those two components of this ordinance. But I have no legal objection to 6 months. That said, I'm just saying that those are sort of some of the parameters.
Ms. Rubio?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna, Madam Mayor, ask the word periods. What does that really entail there before periods of 1 year or less? What is that? Explain definition.
Well, I think it's just for the period of 1 year or a period that is less. I think you could take out periods of and just say positions identified in 3.8510 for 1 year or less. But I think the periods makes it more clear, because sometimes we end up with the person coming back into that position, that interim position, on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So especially if that person has worked for the city in the past, or they're, you know what I mean, they might come in and fill that interim position every time we have a vacancy, and depending on what we're facing, that can be more often than even within, it could be a couple months here or there within the year. So that's why we added the language periods of.
Madam Mayor, if I can continue. So you're saying that, let's just September 1st to September 1st. You're saying calendar year in the sense of periods, like what if it's not, are we doing consecutively for a year? Are we doing?
I think it's just periods of 1 year or less. So if I come in and I fill an interim position for 3 months, that's a period of less than a year.
Correct.
If I fill 1 year, that's a period of 1 year. It's just covering the period of employment because they have a start and end date. And then, so that just creates that.
So if you
For
go
each
over a
period.
year.
So if you are a person who goes over a year, then you're moving into a permanent employee status, and this provision does not provide that, that this exception does not extend to that position. And the reason why is, and so whether it's 6 months or a year, same purpose, which is we don't want to eliminate the temporary nature of those appointments, you know, or get into a situation in which you have a forever interim, name your position, you know, but at the same time, the mayor wants to make sure that anybody filling that position, if it gets a little extended, but no more than a year, can work the hours required of that position without limitations that are imposed by the temporary standard.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Madam
Nikki?
Mayor. So, how I understand this, a temporary position right now is if they, even if you accidentally work them more than what this is stating, it's like they automatically become a permanent employee, is that correct?
Right, they no longer qualify as a temporary employee, or they, you know, or they violated sort of the terms of a temporary employee. And I'm gonna, we are lucky enough to have Jennifer Alexander, our employment attorney, here today, which we don't always have. So as I'm doing this, I would love for her to at least weigh in and make sure I'm not saying anything that she disagrees with.
Councilmember Bianca, want me to come up?
Yeah.
So use our resources while we have them.
Yes.
So in response to your question, I think there are a couple things at issue. One is,
State your name,
oh,
please.
sorry, Jennifer Alexander, city attorney. In response to one of your questions, I think there is the issue of codes limits the definition of temporary employee to somebody who works this. So I think there is a question that is maybe unclear whether if somebody violates that, are they no longer a temporary employee? But nonetheless, they would be violating the code. So that is one part of this. The other reason that we care about classification as a temporary employee certainly has to do with other provisions of the code that might address temporary employee, and significantly, it also is applicable in dealing with PERS. So the Public Employee Retirement System has contribution requirements, and when somebody becomes has to become a planned participant, and it excludes temporary employees. So that's part of the reason of trying to make this all fit with both the city code, what the real expectations are of somebody who comes in and works in one of these director positions in terms of their time, and then also making sure we're compliant with our obligations under our PERS participation agreement.
Thank you. So I know that, I know the 1 year sounds like a lot. I think that's what I'm hearing. But actually, how I understand it, it actually gives us more flexibility because it's up to 1 year that, like you said, we don't have to pay PERS, we don't have to do a lot of things because it is a temporary position, but it can also attract people. You know, if you're going to, you know, you have somebody who's maybe moved up here or whatever, and there's a temporary position, and then it's all this mumbo jumbo, you know, they go, no, thank you. But you know what, I could work up to a year. They don't have to, like you said, this position maybe you hired him for was a special, you know, just a project type thing that you needed extra help in accounting or whatever, and they could be gone in 3 months or 6 months, but when you're trying to play that game with the 89 consecutive days or the 119 hours or even the 6 months, you would just have to play the game. You'd have to lay them off, go through the rigmarole of trying to hire someone else. When if that project's over and it's 8 months, you can just let them go. Or so I don't think it, I know the year sounds like a lot, but I think in reality it actually gives us more flexibility.
If I could comment, Mayor?
Yes.
Another reason I think the year's a contemplated time period is, I would say from our experience with working with communities, oftentimes there will be an opportunity to bring someone in for a year at that level who only wants to make that commitment, but also could train up somebody who is near ready to ascend to that director level, but doesn't quite have the experience. And we've certainly seen this in communities, particularly with police departments, where they can bring in somebody as a chief for a year while a lieutenant is being trained up, or HR directors or finance or something like that. So I think that's another reason why we certainly have seen individuals come in various capacities who are there for a year, and part of that goal is to train up somebody to be able to assume the role after the departure. So just wanted to share that experience.
Mr. Grafton?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify here, this is specific to only basically our director level positions. Chief of Police, Recreational Services, Finance, Public Works, Deputy Administrator, Executive Assistant to the Mayor, and then our City Planner. Those are the only positions we're talking about that we're allowing this. Everybody else still falls under the temporary position. Ms. Vioque had brought up, and it sounded like she was mentioning that this can happen for any position, but no, it's specific to the positions that are the most powerful positions in the city. And so Mr. Graham makes a really good point that, 6 months is a good time frame. I think if you're gonna bring in, if you're raising up a new, our lieutenant or whatever, to be chief of police, you bring someone in temporarily to help them take that position and learn about that position, and then if they need an extended time frame, we can do that. But I think 1 year just kind of leaves a little bit too much open. It leaves it a little too open-ended there, so I'm for the 6 months.
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So in an organization, particularly in a municipal organization or a government organization, there's kind of three things that determine success. There's the mission of the organization. What is it that we're here to do? And then within that mission, what sort of policies and procedures do we have to accomplish that mission? And then, of course, what type of culture are we developing to be able to have policies and procedures which allow us to accomplish that mission? So once again, I'm going to say I think a year is too long. I think what Attorney Wells talked about were two different things. You're talking about the 119 hours for 90 days, and you can talk about 89 days if you want, but basically 3 months. So what we're doing here is we're doubling the 3 months to 6 months. And if you're in an organization, and you're a career non-manager, I think having someone in a temporary position for more than 6 months really kind of changes the culture of the organization, because now people are unsure about what's going on. And if there's not an impetus, if there's not a fire, under the kettle, so to speak, to get that person, to get that position replaced with a permanent person, I think that negatively affects the culture of it. And I think also if you bring somebody in, like Mr. Leonard, for instance, who's outstanding at his job, so there's really no impetus for someone to replace Mr. Leonard other than the fact that he said, you better replace me. So, yeah, I think 6 months is where we want to be. 1 year, there are just too many potential pitfalls at 1 year.
Other discussion? Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. In directing to Mr. Leonard as well, how long have you been in this position currently?
I started on June 23rd, so I'm coming up really quick on the 89 days right now. And the only one thing I would say to the council through the mayor is that I understand the concern about 6 months, but we are in a real different world than we were in 4 years ago. I mean, it can now take a year to find a truly qualified and CFO. And I'm not saying that, I'm not planning on being in this position for a year, you know, so this, I just wanna say to the council up front, isn't due to, personal interest. I do love the city with all of my heart, but, at two other places organizations that I've worked, we only had 3 to 4 candidates for a CFO position over the year. It took us at least almost a year to fill positions like that. I think we have an example of the planner. I mean, it's been, I can't say how long that position has been open. And again, I understand the concern that Councilmember Crafton and Councilmember Graham have, but it is a different world than it was 5 years ago. I wish personally that I was valued that much back in the day that CFOs or accountants are right now. It took us over 2 years to find a staff accountant. So, but there are other organizations. You could go to AML. They have, temporary positions, or when I saw that scale. But again, it's up to, of course, the council. I'm just saying that a lot of these upper executive positions are taking a lot longer to fill. I think it's the same way in the world of attorneys too, if I have heard correctly. But anyway, Mayor, sorry for rambling on.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. That's what I was getting at, and in response to you, Stu, I mean, sometimes 6 months may not be long enough to post the job, take all the applicants, get them interviewed, screened down to the perfect person, and then by the time you hire them, they put in their notice and finally get on. You may not have enough time for somebody to get them up to date on their job. I mean, because you're probably gonna have at least 3-4 meetings to say, here's what we do, before this person needs to step aside and let that person take over full time. So that's what I was saying, maybe the year might be a sufficient time to leave in here.
Further discussion, Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I found it interesting, Mr. Leonard, that you would talk about how difficult it is to find somebody, and yet you said we have 2 perfectly qualified applicants that we're gonna be interviewing for your position within 90 days of posting the position. Yes, we have had trouble with the planner, but we did have people that, on both of the advertisements that we did, we had people come in that were, on paper, were qualified to do the job, but for whatever reason weren't selected. But that doesn't mean that the people aren't out there. You know, I mean, we have a HR director sitting in the back of the room. I mean, that part of her job is to get out and find these people, to make sure that, you know, and if the culture is wrong for that position, to make that change, to make that position look attractive and make it happen. So by limiting this to 6 months, it doesn't say that the administration can't come forward to the council and say, you know, we're getting there, but we're not there yet, as opposed to coming to the council and saying, well, we're on cruise control right now because, you know, we've got Crystal's handling it. We're doing okay. So the 6 months is the right number for me.
Through the mayor to Councilmember Graham, we do have 2 candidates out of 7. And again, what I would say is that I am hoping that one of these candidates will be the one that can meet the needs of the city. But having 7 and only having actually 2 to actually choose from is not great odds. And again, Councilmember Graham, I'm just giving you my personal opinion of, especially the only field I truly know is the accounting field, where they're bringing in, for example, for auditors, the CPA firm BDO that we're competing with is paying $130,000 to $140,000 for students right out of school. So I think we were very lucky in the screening this time, but again, that's just my opinion, sir.
And I would say working for government, municipal government, state government, federal government is a completely different thing than working for an auditor. I mean, many of the CFO candidates that look at things, they start there and then they move into government for some various reasons. So having 7 candidates, I don't think is unusual. I mean, we're a city of over 150 employees, a $38.7 million budget. We're a catch. You know, if you're working for us, you're doing good, and that's the culture that we want. No, government isn't always going to be able to compete with private sector, particularly on wages, but on other things, the government's got the private sector beat. So there's apples and oranges, I think, is what we're looking at here. So let's concentrate on the apples and leave the oranges out of it.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I just quickly want to make one comment, not about the 6 month versus a year.
No, second call.
Oh, okay, I just want to make it clear that because of the nature of this section of the code, it doesn't come back to council. This is not a, council can then extend the period of time, because what we're not talking about approval of a person serving in an interim capacity. We're talking about the definition of that person as a temporary employee as opposed to a permanent employee. So the provision of the code defines what temporary is, and in that definition, it simply says that it does not, this provision does not limit the mayor from making temporary or interim appointments for that period. So if we take that away in the other periods, those limitations just apply, and council doesn't have authority except through the adoption of an ordinance to change those terms. So I just want to make sure, again, that we all understand, because this is a little different. We're talking about this, almost this definition of temporary employee, correct, Jennifer? Am I correct? Okay, so as opposed to, we're often dealing with the authority vested in the mayor to make an appointment or for an employee to serve the position. So I just want to make sure those things are clear and delineated in each of the council members' mind.
Madam Mayor.
Ms. Cottle?
Thank you, Holly, because that was going to be my question. Making this change, there is no provision in code for it to come back to council for extensions. And if we're changing code and we want to change it, then it's got to be changed the way we want it, because we don't have that mechanism later. I do think we're in a very different hiring world than we used to be in. And it may just be the way that last sentence, for periods of 1 year or less, just the way it's worded instead of up to 1 year, that makes it seem like that. It doesn't mean that the mayor is going to automatically appoint people for 1 year. But I think there are times when we need that extended time. Not every time, and hopefully whoever is mayor when these issues come up is thinking on, really thinking it over and how long we need to start somebody. But if you can do it up to a year, it kind of gives us that grace that we need in those times that we can't find qualified people, because we know how it is. People can look good on paper, they can look good in an interview, and once you start them, it's like, nope. And those things happen. It's just the nature of the beast sometimes. So we are in a different world. So I think I would like to leave the 1 year in there, but I would like it to say up to 1 year instead of 1 year or less.
Okay, keep in mind, no matter how many applicants you have, they, like Ms. Cottle said, they look good on paper. But every municipality is different. I don't care if you hire whoever from whatever municipality. Wasilla does it their way, to an extent. So, even though we've got these 2 applicants, we don't know if we're gonna get one out of it or not. We don't have a clue. We know that they have the credentials that we asked for. And that's basically it until you interview. And then you're not guaranteed, even when you interview. So, I would hope that I could keep Ted for 13 months, but who's counting? And let him train the next one to come in that will stay with us. And we have a line of succession, because Wacilla's not been real famous with training their successors. So if we get that, if we get Ted to train whoever's coming in and get the ball to rolling smoothly and we keep it going, that's a plus in my opinion. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Holly, I find it interesting that you said, well, this piece of code would limit you to 6 months instead of a year. Instead of saying, if you want to make it longer, we'll write it in the code here that you can extend for 90 days with the approval of the council. You know, what you were saying didn't quite register with me. I mean, if we can make this a year, right now it's 90 days. If we can make it a year, why can't we make it, 180 days or 6 months with the approval of the council to be able to extend it another 90 days or another 3 months? I don't understand why that didn't come up in your explanation of things.
Yeah, it's because I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, when you're looking at our temporary, we're saying a temporary position is one established for an employee to work up to 119 hours per month for the duration of the assignment, or 40 hours per week for up to 89 calendar days. We have a very firm definition, and as a municipality where we deal in uniformity, we like these types of definitions, right? We are defining what a temporary employee is. So the next thing we have is a provision saying, except temporary or interim appointments to a person under this other section of the code, and then we're specifying what that period is. If you would like to specify 6 months, legally, I have no problem with that. You know, whether or not policy-wise and all of these considerations, councils, that makes complete sense to me, whatever that number might be. But to create flexibility in this code for what actually constitutes a temporary employee in that interim, I think that creates vulnerability in your code. So set your time period and stick to it. We're defining a definition, but please do set the time period that works best for council. I have no problem with that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but it doesn't answer the question. The question, let me boil the question down.
Okay.
Can we write the code so that it says, this temporary positions under, 85.010, is typically for 6 months, but can be extended by 3 months by the council, right? Is that legal or is that not legal? I don't know why you didn't answer that question.
Because the law is gray, as you all know, and I know that is one of the most frustrating things about the law. So what I can say is, you can do that against legal advice. I don't think that that is how we want to draft our code, because it creates.
That wasn't the question. The question was, is it legal?
Well, that is the only answer you're going to get tonight, Councilmember Graham.
Okay,
So
then
we
thank
can
you.
move
Thank you for
forward.
your input.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the vote.
The call for the question. Is there objection to calling for the question? Hearing none. What you're voting on now is for the amendment to change it to 6 months, from a year down to 6 months. Roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle, how do you vote on the amendment to strike 1 year and insert 6 months?
No.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt?
No.
Councilmember Crafton?
Yes.
Councilmember Vilak?
No.
Councilmember Rubio?
No.
Madam Mayor, that fails with Council Members Graham and Crafton in favor, Council Members Cottle, Schmidt, Vilak, and Rubio opposed.
Okay, now we are back to the main motion, which is in the adoption of ordinance serial number 25-29. And is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion
Madam Mayor, I
passes.
object.
Roll call vote. Mr. Graham objected.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Graham,
No.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton,
No.
Councilmember Vilak,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio,
Yes.
Councilmember Cottle.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, the motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2529 passes with council members Cottle, Schmidt, Vilak, and Rubio in support, council members Graham and Crafton opposed.
And may I be excused, Mayor?
We are now at persons to be heard, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. Please note that this is not a question and answer period. Speakers may be referred to administration and items raised may be taken under advisement. And the first one is Cecil Talon.
Talton.
Talton? You have 3 minutes, sir.
Before I push the button, I have Title IX, copies of Title IX for each council member and the mayor. Everybody get one? Okay. Green button?
The clerk will take care of that.
Oh, okay.
Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name and if you are a city resident or not.
My name is Cecil Tilton, and I am a city resident of Wasilla for the last 14 years, an Alaska citizen for 45. I'm hoping that you all recognize me by my photo here that was mailed to you, each one of you, along with a packet that describes an encounter I had with the Public Works Department and on June the 10th, where I was trespassed from all city property initially for life, and that was later changed to 1 year. This, as I said, was sent to the mayor and each council member within the last 5 weeks, along with an informational packet describing an incident with Public Works personnel on 6/10/25 at approximately 10:30 a.m. I am here tonight to claim an exemption and or present a defense under Title IX 2.9.20.010 and 9.20.015. Look at the trespass papers that I have here. Number one, 9.20.010, this pertains to city property. At the time of my trespass, I wasn't on city property. I was on a DOT-maintained public walkway. The city doesn't clean it, the city doesn't do anything but pick up paper on the side of it. The person that signed the trespass is not even the person. It is so confusing. I have it all written out here, but it's too long to read. The person that signed the trespass was not the person that was trespassed against. It was some young lady hiding in a pickup truck. Okay, that's on one. I wasn't on city property, and this is the trespass law 010. On 015, defense, exercise of First Amendment rights. It is an affirmative defense to prosecution for trespass on public property that the person charged was engaged in legitimate expression of rights granted by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States or similar rights granted by the Constitution of the State of Alaska, and the expression did not. This is what I did not do. I did not physically obstruct or delay access, entrance, or exit to and from the property. It's a public sidewalk. I did not, number two, intentionally, knowingly or recklessly intimidate users, residents, owners, or occupants of the property.
Your time's up, sir.
3 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, I will wait until the last opportunity here, at the end of the council meeting to read the rest of this. And it is my intention that the next subsequent council
The
meetings,
next
I'll
one
be,
up, sir, your time's up.
okay, but I'll be reading the whole thing.
David Wilson. Please begin your testimony by saying your first and last name.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is David Wilson, city resident, and tonight I'm here on behalf of my employer, the Mat-Su Health Foundation. Just wanted to send out, and these will be followed up with a formal invite to the council and to the mayor and to administration, but this is also open to the general public. You guys are all invited to a free ILP screening. That's the Infant Learning Program screening. It's a Mat-Su film that is focused upon shines a light upon a healthy development of Alaska's most vulnerable children. It's told through the stories of local families and early childhood professionals. Feel free, it's going to be at the Valley Cinemas on Wednesday, September 24th from 5:30 to 7. Dinner is provided. And this is also, after the film, we'll have a community discussion with parents, early childhood experts, and our own esteemed representative, Jubilee Underwood. It was also going to be there and host. This film was also screened in Juneau and widely attended, and so we're just trying to bring this here is with Mat-Su family members here with CCS Learning, Mat-Su, and MISCA, Mat-Su Services and Children and Adults. Also, to be followed here is Mat-Su Health Foundation just launched Mat-Su Measures. It's one of our newest data tools that's available to the public, and we would like to do a sort of a invitational usage of this wonderful data tool. It provides interactive maps, displays. This dashboard is going to give users more health statistics, but we can also pull more data information away. It's more of a collective of different data from the state, CDC, HRSA, using the BRFIS and other data points, and it basically combines it all into a more of a meta-analysis of data, and we're trying to help have more informed decisions based upon Mat-Su data. We can get it down to zip codes, area codes, sort of census areas, and it's one of those wonderful tools. I mean, the Health Foundation spends millions of dollars on data, but we want to make sure that the community has access to this data to help inform different decisions and how we track different items. And so we would like to do a public officials training later, probably early next month, middle of next month, and we'll work with, make sure we don't have any conflicts and make sure we have enough time to do any Open Meetings Act notifications if you guys would like to have us that training be provided and those opportunities. And with that, you guys know how to find me, Mat-Su Health Foundation, and I'm always around. So we'll see you at the next meeting. Thanks.
Next up is Tim Johnson.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I'm Tim Johnson, Wasilla City resident. I'm here to speak tonight on the proposed contract with the police. As I stated last time, and partially erroneously, I do support more pay for the police. I think it is justified. Even though I misread the chart, I still think that more resources need to be put towards our police department. That being said, I'm not in favor of one provision of the contract as shown on section 21, which is 2 floating holidays. Precedence being set here is going to have a far-reaching effect beyond the police department. It will reach to every department in the city of Wasilla with an expanding cost. Now, I realize that the police would like to have more time off. I believe that there is other ways to achieve it than just writing in another floating holiday. I would like to see the city and the police department come up with a different means to accomplish the same thing, possibly more training days or whatever, but that is part of the negotiation. My second point is we're currently running understaffed continuously. I would like to really see us become better focused on recruitment, not just putting out
job here, but let's work directly with the universities, get our names out there. Now, in the airline industry, we have the same problem with mechanics. We have a hard time finding mechanics, we have a hard time finding pilots. Is what we do is we partner with the universities and our other flight training organizations. We create a position, like an intern position, and we put the person into that position as they complete their education. And at the same time, we're partially paying for their education, and when they're done with their education, we hire them on. Maybe we should be looking at a program like that actively to fill our missing positions. Certainly, if we fill our positions, missing positions, I wouldn't even mind expanding our police department so that we can reduce the amount of overtime that we're asking our poor officers to spend. Thank you.
Michelle LaCours. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name.
My name is Michelle LaCour. I'm a dispatch supervisor for MATCOM. I'm not a city resident. However, I've adopted the city through my work. I can pass this out to you. I've been with the city here since December of 2010. I am a huge cheerleader for MATCOM and Wasilla PD. Some of you might recognize me. I ran the fair a couple years, the fair booth. That was a great opportunity for us to go ahead and share with everyone what we do here for MATCOM. We have the largest dispatch center area in the state. We take one of the largest call volumes. I heavily support our contract. I am a big fan of our department in Wasilla. I've seen it grow tremendously. We do deal with understaffing, and it's not for lack of trying. The person who was prior to me coming here. However, the job entails or requires a large amount of multitasking. There's so much involved with everything that we do that sometimes it provides a little difficulty getting those recruits, and then when we get them in the chair, keeping them there, because you don't know how to do the job until you sit there doing it, and then you find, oh my gosh, I can't handle 90 calls an hour doing CPR, dispatching on the radio. The call starts from the call taker, and it goes down to the first responder and law enforcement on scene. So we all feel the effects of those calls every single day. But we are always constantly trying to recruit new people to come in and build our department through our contract negotiations, providing more opportunities for people to come in, longevity, pay, time off, and that is something that we are very diligent on doing. We are unique in our department because as a dispatcher, we also answer the phone. So other dispatching agencies have the luxuries of having just call takers, and not that they're just call takers, but they have call takers who can answer the phones and dispatchers who can just dispatch. So we're unique that we do both of those. And in addition to all of that, we have a very heavy admin load. We are record keepers, and I just wanted to give you some stuff to take with you so you can see what we do on a daily basis. And I appreciate all your time.
Jeannie Trzynski.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. My name is Jeannie Trzynski. I live in the greater Wasilla area, not in the city limits. First, I'd just like to speak as Jeannie Trzynski and tell you that I have just so much value and appreciate the Wasilla Police Department. Even though I live in the greater Wasilla area, I rely on these officers. And I think that that's something really important that we need to always keep in mind. It's easy to pretend like we're just serving the city, but we know that's not true. We know they're serving the greater area. And they've certainly helped me when my car just broke down in the turning lane. Parks and KGB on a graduation night, and my car was just dead, it wouldn't go. And so they sat with me until the tow truck came, kept me from getting ran over, because no one is patient in this area when they can't get in through the turning lane. We rely on them at the library. They come and help us talk down people. It's really, they do so many important things, and they do it for all of us. So please value their service. I have a really good friend who lives at Big Lake and is a police officer in Anchorage. And I tell him all the time, it really bothers me. He has a young family. It really bothers me that he has to commute that much. That's a long ways to commute. And he says, I tell him all the time, you should come work for Wasilla. It's got a great police department. He says, they can't compete. They don't compete with what Anchorage can pay. So if you want to have people that are good people, you got to pay them. It's plain and simple. It's not rocket science. Even if you hate science, it's not rocket science. And finally, you have floating holidays for people like police departments, because all of us expect the police to work every day of the year. They don't get days off. At the library, we're closed on Christmas. It's no big deal. Everybody has a Christmas holiday. It doesn't need to be a floating holiday. People that work every day of the year need to have floating holidays. It just makes sense. And finally, let's get back to the library, why you really think I'm here. I'm the president of the Friends of Wasilla Library. September 22nd, just a couple weeks away, we will celebrate our 9th year in that building. It's hard to believe that we've been there for 9 years, but we have. And the great thing about our building is when we moved into it, it was completely paid for. And that is in large part thanks to Bert Cottle, because Bert said we need to do this thing, ask the taxpayers to vote to increase the tax until we raise the money to build the library. That is a phenomenal thing that we've done. But now we have so much use of that library, we need some more space. And so we're asking tonight for you to jumpstart this $3 million project for us to make the expansion that we need to be able to serve the people. 107,000 people through our doors last year. And that's another thing that I always loved that Bert always said. The box stores, the big box stores would love our numbers if they had as many people walking through their doors as we have walking through our doors at the library when we're open. Thanks, people. Sorry, you'll have to read yourself my info.
Thanks, Jeannie. Thanks, Jeannie. Okay, we are now on to new business. Madam Clerk, please read the AM by title.
Oh, Madam Mayor, would you like me to read the consent agenda real quick? The
Oh,
minutes, that's
sorry.
all we have, that's okay.
I skipped. Executive session. Oh, we are on to consent agenda. I'm just trying to get through all of this. So, Madam Clerk, please read the items for approval under the consent agenda.
And we have left our regular meeting minutes, August 11th, 2025. No introductions, no resolutions. AM was moved to new business.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Now we're on to new business. Madam Clerk.
Does the council wish to take the AM first or the reso? Doesn't matter. I'll just go with the AM since it's, yeah. AM number 2550, contract award to Aetna Construction and Primary Products Company, LLC, in the amount of $8,243,859.20 for construction of taxiway Kilo and related improvements at the Wasilla Municipal Airport, pending receipt of a grant award from the Federal Aviation Administration. And we do have handouts, I guess I'll just add, and I believe the city received the grant, so.
Is there a motion to adopt AM 2550?
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt AM 2550.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cottle and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to adopt AM 2550. Is there discussion? Ms. Rubio?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted a little bit of explanation on this. I know that we are on the hook for up to 4.1 million on this, and it looks that we did not get the 12.1 million. And so I just wanted some explanation on it. A little bit more clarification. I didn't read these as I sat down.
Yeah, so through the mayor. So this is part of the grant agreement that we have with the FAA. So of course, we worked up an engineer's estimate with our designers, brought it to FAA and said, this is the taxiway Kilo project, and worked out the cost sharing with FAA. We'd had the ordinance process, asked the council to approve that grant agreement up to 12 million with the 4.1 million match monies from the city. And then after, well, I guess during that ordinance process, the bids were open and we had the preliminary bid results. So this is a portion of that relationship with FAA where we're asking the council tonight to approve the contract with OTNA to provide that construction. The broader grant with the FAA also includes the design costs and the contract administration, and then the city's portion of the project that isn't grant eligible. So the larger number, Mr. Ted Sullivan and I have been working on, how to explain this in a broader sense, but the overall project cost is just above 10 million as we include the ancillary contracts, so the contract administration, the inspection. So the 12 million that we talked about was the top limit of what our forecast was for the project. As we saw those 11 bids come in and we saw that our engineer's estimate was right around the top third of that, we have seen that reduction in the contract amount. And so that's why instead of closer to 10 million for an AM tonight, you see the exact 8.2 and change the relationship with OTNA. Does that answer your question, Ms. Rubio?
Madam Mayor, so we were in acceptance of 12 million in federal aviation, so we did not get that from them?
They reimburse us a ratio of the final contracts. So what we did was took the bids, plugged them into the ratio relationship with the FAA, included the contract administration costs and the ancillary costs, worked with Mr. Ted Leonard to look at the costs that the city expects to incur. We put those into the relationship with the FAA as well. And so I'm gonna turn to one of the pages within our grant relationship with the FAA, but they are providing 7.2 million. The city is providing a little over 3.3 million. So the relationship directly with the FAA is about 10.5 million.
Madam Mayor, I guess I was under the assumption, and I might be the only one, that we were out to get the 12 million in federal aviation and matching it 4.1. I understand that it's been reduced because of the bids, but I guess when we passed this ordinance, I saw that there was gonna be a $12 million FFA grant. And to my knowledge right now, it's been reduced because of our bids. So we did not get the 12.1 million.
So the 12 million was a working limit for FAA's planning purposes. So if the bids had been higher, we would still have the capacity, if you will, for FAA to provide those funds. But because it is a ratio of the bids and the other forecast project costs, the FAA does not have to provide a set 12.1 million. It comes down based on the project agreements and the forecasts for the expected total cost of this project.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mayor?
further?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
May I please address this issue just very quickly? I think one of the areas that might be causing confusion is the use of the term match, the required city match in the ordinance. And so the finance director and I were just talking about this. In the future, we will use that term only to refer to the percentage match that corresponds with the grant. And while the budget specified, which is good, the budget specified that it was the city's match and a quote, an adjacent ineligible portion of the FAA funded taxway. It makes it, when you see the term match, but the match doesn't drop in the same percentage, it makes it difficult to understand. I think, Councilmember Rubio, that might be part of what you were running into. So, because those two would move in conjunction with one another. If it was a true match, which is gonna go down percentage-wise, right? So if the entire job drops, then if the FAA pays 75% and the city pays 25%, you're gonna see those exact commensurate numbers. Is that fair to say?
Madam Mayor, yes, thank you, Holly.
And
our words do matter. Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Crafton?
just a point of clarification question then. We're still spending 4.1 million because there's a bunch of other portions of this project that need to get done, essentially. Because if I recall correctly, the 12 million or the amount of grant that we were gonna get, there's allowable costs as well, which is why our portion of the project might not be the actual 5% match that's required. We were required to do a minimum match of 5% and then any auxiliary projects on there or non-allowable costs, if I recall correctly, and that was seen down your head, so yeah.
Yes, so through the mayor, there is a small project contingency that remains within the 4.1 million, about 750,000. So that would be bolstering the completion of the project. If there are any change orders, those would come back to the council for the spending of those funds. But it would be less than 7% of the total project cost in contingency at this point with all the contracts.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution serial number 2530, supporting the expansion of the Wasilla Public Library and committing up to 1.3 million toward the estimated 3 million construction cost.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution serial number 25-30?
Madam Mayor, I move resolution serial 2530.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Velock to adopt resolution serial number 25-30. Is there a discussion? Mr. Graham?
Madam Mayor, Zane Treesh, our library director, was kind enough to to provide opportunity for the council to come by and take a look and see exactly what was going on with the library and how the expansion would affect not just the footprint of the library, but the operations of the library. So thank you, Zane, for spending that hour and a half or so with us. We got quite a bit out of that. But for those of you that weren't able to attend, you know, there are some great drawings of how things work, and I think more importantly for us, you know, in a relatively small town with serving a much larger populace than that of our town, what we're doing is we're putting in a system that has already been proven to work in larger libraries. You know, so it's not like we're trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're putting something in that we know works and that we know improves efficiency and that we know improves the product that we're delivering to our customers. So I strongly encourage council members to vote yes on this resolution.
Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the questions that continuously came up was the addition to staff in here, and a lot of what I saw in here during our tour was we're going to add workstations. And then it's also going to enable us to extend operating hours. So I'm kind of curious, I mean, is the ultimate goal of this to add staff to the library? Is that what's gonna happen here?
Zane, would you please come to the microphone?
My name is Zane Treesh. I'm the library director for the Westfield Public Library. So the idea is, well, there's three different parts to it. There's the idea of the RFID machine, which would allow us to be more efficient. There's also the idea of having the capacity, if needed, to add staff in the future. Currently, we can't add the staff. Right now, we're open 40 hours a week with the staffing that we have, 12 FTE plus a couple people that fill in. And what this does is give us the ability to add more hours, which is a goal of many members of the community. Today, I had on a Monday, because of the way we're open 6 days a week, with 40 hours, we have to have, with our number of people we have, to do 2 shifts. We can't do 2 entire shifts on Monday and on Saturday, so we're open to the public 4 hours. So ultimately, we would reevaluate once something was put in place to look at adding staff if needed at that point. But I think that's a goal. To add more hours, we have to have more staff. The RFID machine would not be, at this point, would not be used to take away staff. I think it could be used to make staff more efficient and also to make it, as we talked about, more accurate for check-in, more things like that, a better relationship with the patrons. I think the other area is with processing and things like that, which is what this addition, the third part is the area for the staff to do their job better and not be on top of each other with the limited space they have now. I think, so yes, I think it allows the capacity to add more staff as the area grows and as the need becomes necessary. I think we're already at that need. We opened at 2 o'clock on Monday. We probably had 12 to 15 people at least trying to get in the doors before 2. If I was adding staff adding hours right now, it'd be Mondays and then uniform our hours a little more, open mornings and a little bit in the evening. The state statute, or not statute, but the ACC code has for public libraries to receive their public library assistant grant. A city of 10,000 or more needs to be open at least 50 hours a week to be considered eligible for that grant. We're at 40. I personally don't think we can reach 50 without burning out our staff. And so that number is figured, right now, Wasilla is officially 9,800 people. So the state library, the state looks at us as under 10,000, which requires 40 hours a week minimum, which we meet that. In the future, if we're going to be eligible for the state definition of a public library of serving a community over 10,000 people, we need to get to that 50 hours. And with 12 FTE, how busy we are with keeping 4 workstations, I don't see that as feasible without having a place to put these people. That's kind of a long-winded explanation. Does that help?
Yeah.
Mr. Gray?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Zane, for that discussion there. But I would remind council that when we built the library, the discussion was about a very limited budget to meet the needs that we had and the needs that we anticipated for the next 10 years from when the library opened, which is about the point where we're at right now. But if you think back to when we built the police building, we built the police building with the expectation to be able to handle the workload for another 30 years. So we built in additional workstations at the police station. Some of that space has been used for other things, but as we add officers, as the need develops, we have the space in the police station to do that. So even though we may be adding 4 workstations, I believe is what we were looking at.
The space allows for 5 to 6 workstations, but we're looking at a 20 to 30 year outlook of reaching the needs of the.
Exactly. So even though the workstations are going to be there, that doesn't mean we're adding, pardon my French, but butts in the chairs. Those workstations will probably be used, as needed by the existing staff, but the idea is not to, right off the bat, add 4 or 6 more FTEs. That's not what we're looking to do. So,
Madam Mayor.
Ms. Cottle?
When we opened that new library, we were already gonna outgrow it. And we have. I am in favor of passing this resolution, and I hear the public constantly saying, please be open more hours. And I realize you can't do that without more bodies. I, not that long ago, went to drop something off at the library, and I was one of those people standing in line waiting for the doors to open. And it amazes me how many people there are waiting for the doors to open all the time. So I think that this part of the growth is very much needed, and we need that to be able to grow in other ways. And you're doing a great job, Zane.
Further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we are on to unfinished business. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution serial number 2529, ratifying a 3-year collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association for the period July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. This item was postponed from the August 25th regular City Council meeting. Motion to adopt is pending.
We are now at executive session. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
Madam Mayor,
Ms. Rubio?
I move to enter into executive session for matters the immediate public knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finances of the city, specifically to discuss the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association. Those present in the executive session will be the council, mayor, city clerk, attorney, finance director, police chief, HR manager, and MATCOM manager.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Rubio and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to enter executive session. Is there objection to the motion?
Madam Mayor, I would just ask that we change that to the police chief or his representative, since he's not here today.
Actually, Lieutenant Rader will be joining us in executive session.
Hearing none, the council will enter executive session in the council conference room. The time is 7:32 p.m.
And Madam Mayor, may I suggest that we start at 7:40 to give us a bit of a break here?
We are back on the record at 8:58. There's, is there a motion to exit executive session?
Madam Mayor, I move that we exit executive session.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to exit executive session. Okay, and there's a motion on the floor to adopt resolution serial number 25-29 pending from the last meeting. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is on the adoption of ordinance serial number 2529, which ratifies the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Wasilla and WPDA. Councilmember Crafton.
Yes.
Councilmember Vlock.
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes.
Councilmember Cottle.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, the motion passes unanimously with council members Cottle, Graham, Schmidt, Crafton, Vlock, and Rubio in support.
Thank you, guys. Okay, now we are at communications. Madam Clerk, please read the items by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Planning Commission meeting minutes, July 22nd, 2025.
Okay, we are now at audience comments, which is a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak at this time? You got 2 seconds, hurry up.
All right. Do I have to hit this button or something?
No, but she will.
Yes,
Please start by giving your name.
My name's Ryan Hellman. I'm the Wasilla Police Department Employees Association president. First off, just want to acknowledge, I know you guys have a tough job as city council. I appreciate that you guys are entrusted with being stewards of the city's resources. That being said, thank you for your yes vote today. One thing I didn't get to express last time was this was the first time that we've had a vote on pretty much anything since I've been in charge of the association. I've been a part of it for the last almost 7 years, that we've had a unanimous yes vote on something. Last time our contract wasn't a unanimous yes amongst the association members. We had every single person that could vote voted as well, which is the first time we've ever had that either. So I appreciate you guys voting yes on our contract. That being said, obviously, as a department, we still have a lot of work to do. I know our chief, Lieutenant Rader, and Lieutenant Lopez work extremely hard trying to move our department forward in the future. Hopefully, this contract helps with that. Obviously, we're still way behind Anchorage Police Department and the Alaska State Troopers. That being said, I know we can't expect to get paid the same amount they do. But for a smaller department that doesn't have as many opportunities for, let's say, like being a K-9 officer or being on CERT, or getting promoted and things like that, we have very few opportunities to do anything other than being a patrol officer. Dispatch is kind of the same. They don't really have a lot of opportunities to do other things. So we would still like to see some other benefits, hopefully next time around, that we can get to help take care of the department, to continue to help our recruitment. It's really hard for us to compete with Anchorage and AST, and those are our, regardless of the size of the city that we are, those are our direct competitors. And people are willing to drive 2.5 hours, 3 hours every day, depending upon traffic, because it's that big of a difference. And I also, as the lady that came up here, I need to find who she is and give her some flowers, but she spoke so well of us. But as frustrating as that is, I would like to be able to attract some of those Anchorage police officers and some of those state troopers, because there are a lot of things that our department can offer that those places can't offer. It's just hard because, after inflation over the past few years and everything else, it costs a lot of money to raise a family, and we want to be able to support people doing that and keep them in the city. So I look forward to continue working with our command, with the city, as we go forward over the next few years, to try to come up with some other creative ways for recruitment. But I think the best way that we can recruit for any position in the city is by treating everybody that works for the city as good as we possibly can. We can argue about interim positions and all this other stuff, but it doesn't matter if we can't attract qualified candidates. And the way to do that is to take care of people that are right now working for us, and we will speak highly and we will bring the people to you guys. So, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Seeing no one, I will close audience comments, bring it back to the dais. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a special meeting next Monday, the 15th. I think we have one council member who may participate telephonically, and if you would, to that meeting, bring your ERP packets that were distributed this evening. And then following our special meeting on the 15th, we'll see you all here, next regular meeting, September 22nd. So thank you.
Madam Attorney. Councilmember Velock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good meeting tonight. And we are happy that we approved the bargaining unit agreement tonight also. It's a big win for us too. And we appreciate everything you guys do, and just keep up the good work, and thank you.
Councilmember Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council. Thank you, officers, for staying. Again, I know it's a lot of time back there, and we're sitting in a closed-off room. You're wondering what's going on, and as you saw openly at the dais today, I mean, we all have a difference of opinion on what we feel like is best for the city, and there's a reason why the council's composed this way, is because when you get this many of us together, we all make ourselves a little bit better on what we bring to the table. And so I love this open dialogue. I mean, I'd rather us have a conversation and vote some things down and vote some things up than sit here and just rubber stamp things all day long. So I really appreciate you guys putting in hard work. I know this is a long one, and for all of those as well that put in for this contract. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really hoping we're going to start attracting some even better talent, because I know there's a lot of APD officers as well. I asked them the same thing, why? I mean, to me, taking that extra time away from your family is there's a certain amount of money that you're willing to pay, but after a while you go, it's just not worth it. So hopefully this is going to start making up that difference. So I appreciate you guys, and thank you, council. Thank you all.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks everybody for being here. This is good. Councilmember Crafton mentioned, you back behind in the conference room back there in closed door session, because they're talking about things that could adversely affect the city, and particularly the finances of the city. But the reason it takes so long is because it's so dang important. It's important that our first responders and other folks covered under the WPDEA contract are fairly paid. And it's important that the culture that the WPDEA contract brings forward is one that is good for retention, and particularly good for bringing people in and treating them right off the bat and giving them incentive to stay. So that that was half of what we talked about in there over 2 days was is this going to work? So we appreciate all the work that you guys put into it, and you go, well, we just put this thing in front of you, when it's just voted up or down. Well, you guys worked on it for countless hours, and we worked on it for 3 hours. So I'd say that's pretty good. If you guys can put in that much time and bring something forward, and in a couple hours, we're in agreement with what's there. So I appreciate that. And you talked about bringing people on, recruiting, and why don't we have APD officers working for us? Well, APD has a different culture than we do. We have a different culture than Palmer does. Palmer has a different culture than the troopers do. I mean, we have our own culture, and we need to develop that in such a way that it is attractive to people. I know a lot of Anchorage Police Department officers, that live in the Chugach area and all the way out to Willow, actually. There's a couple of them that live out that far out. And it's the culture of the department is the reason they're there. You know, the fact that they're being paid $25,000 or $30,000 more per year is what keeps them there, but it's the culture that they live with. I mean, and it's our department in our small town, you know, even though, you know, our town's only 10,000 people, you guys are serving, you know, probably 60 to 70,000 people, you know, in that area. And, you know, it's the culture that drives people in here. And we've got a great department, we've got a great culture in our department, but we would just want to make sure that we've got the tools, you know, through this 3-year contract to do that. So I look forward, particularly to you, sir, since you said you're going to recruit. Well, by golly, I'm eagerly anticipating reports from the chief saying we've got some new people coming in. So thank you for everything you did there. And Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
Voting starts when?
Early voting?
Early voting starts when?
Early voting begins September 22nd through October 6th, weekdays 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 10 to 3 here at City Hall.
Okay, great. So right here at City Hall, and if I could ask anybody that's a resident in the audience, a resident of the city of Wasilla, did you get a postcard talking about voting?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
You stole what I was gonna talk about, Stu.
Okay, well, good.
This
You
is
know,
amazing.
thunder.
Yeah.
And it has everything on it, so the clerk's office, that boy, that is beautiful. It is beautiful. Everybody received one.
Right, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that everybody's aware of how they could vote, when they could vote. So that's great. Good job on you, Jamie. That's good. Once again, thanks to the staff for being here and sitting it out. Thank you, Jennifer. It's a pleasure to have you here. And Bobby, I know that you were kind of thrown in the lion's den here at the last, but thank you for being here. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Cottle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just so I don't repeat everything that everybody's already said, I want our officers and our dispatchers to know how much I appreciate all of you. I know you're there when I call, and I've had to call before, and I know you're there. I want us to have good quality people. There's no perfect contract out there, but that's why there are negotiations. So, you know, hopefully you keep working toward the betterment, and I think everyone has put in a lot of work into this, and I'm glad to see it finally pass. And I see smiles out there, so I'm assuming you all are too. But you are appreciated very much, and we want to keep all of you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone has done here. Fellow councilman, that was great that we all voted for this. That was a unanimous vote. That just shows our appreciation for you guys and gals, and we really do appreciate you and the hard work that you guys put in, and hopefully this helps in the retention and retaining and hiring. So we'll see how it goes the next 3 years, and I'm hoping maybe people will want to come to our department and work with you guys.
Councilmember Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last but not least, I agree with the whole team. Very proud to be on this team, including everybody in the city that works for the city. So we all know teamwork is the dream work, and we do have to hash it out, no matter what department it might be. I also wanted to say to Ted, your report today, I know that Councilman Graham had already said it, kind of, that it was very informative, but it was so detailed with the direction of what was going on in the finance department. I don't work in that department, but I feel like I know what's going on now. And so I feel like that was like a huge, very formative report. And other than that, there's nothing else other than I wanted to talk about this, but I don't really get to. So I think we're good.
Thank you. Now it's my turn. Yeah, you know, I've always believed that there's no I in team. And I think for the city of Wasilla, every department, we are all a team because it takes all of us. Even these guys.
Might be painful.
Sometimes I have my doubts, but you know. But anyway, and I truly appreciate WPD, MATCOM, as well as the roads crew, because it's gonna snow, folks, you know? And utilities, it takes all of us. And I think the reason everybody talks about Wasilla and how great we are is because we are all a team, including our attorneys, you know. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And, you know,